Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and oh boy, do I have a deck profile for you guys today. I was so happy that this deck worked. Oh my god. So, to give a bit of context, I'm pretty sure that anyone who knows me knows I love bears. At least in this game, anyone who knows me knows I love bears, knows that I love the archetype, knows that I love the whole concept of just wanting to make bears work. I've tried in the past to make them good. And another deck that I really like is Morphrost. Now, I also really like toolbox decks. So, I, for a while, have really tried to make the Morphrost work, but I think that was like way back when. And then Morphrost got really good this set in live stream, but I just really didn't want to play Morphrost this set. I think Glaciursa came out, and I really wanted to play with Glaciursa. Then Morphrost became really good, and I think it was like one of those, I didn't really want to touch Morphrost because I didn't want to really play something that a lot of people were playing. I wanted to kind of just stay away from it at the moment. I wanted to really do my own thing. I was going to get to it. Morphrost was still, like, it was the first deck I ever played in Elestrals, and I love Morphrost to death. It is, I think, one of their first ever toolbox decks. So, toolbox. And with Moralith Champ, I think I really loved the Moralith Champ and Frost Champ combo. So, I loved the ability to just say, with Moralith Champ and Frost Champ, Keon, turning Keon into a special cast from deck. Just boom, you just special cast from deck. It was just amazing. And getting the ability to just say, in 2 turns, you just get the boom boom. However, I think the one thing that I never really realized was you can actually take Moralith Champ and make it work with Morphrost really well. And it took me a while to really realize that and say, can I make that work with Morphrost? I'm pretty sure some of the Morphrost players really did look at that and say, is it really worth playing with Morphrost? But I'm not one of the Morphrost players. I'm a toolbox player, so I'm just like, I'd rather actually want to try and make it work with Morphrost. Fast forward to now, where after the stream, after this last premiere, where we had PK ask, "Where's Bears?" I really was like, all right, cool. That's my attempt to now say, I'm gonna go build a Glaciursa deck again. And I was like, okay, how am I gonna build Glaciursa? I really want to figure out a way to make Glaciursa work. And I asked my team for help, and hey, I got a call back from, or I got word back from one of my teammates, and I honestly really thankful to my teammate Perky. Thank you. Because this list would not be possible thanks to him if it wasn't for him. And I got to be able to bring this to the casual nights, the Tuesday webcam casuals. And dear God, it went 4-0. This toolbox deck went 4-0. Now, granted, it is a webcam casual, so the level of play is very low. It's only best of 1, so take it with a grain of salt. However, I thought to say that this deck is super funny. I love it to death, and I just had to make a video on it because it was either it didn't do all that great and it needed some work, and then, you know, all right, cool, go back to the drawing board, figure it out, or here we are. And let's just hop right into it. So, I'm not gonna lie, this deck is probably my favorite version of this deck because it melds everything that I've ever done with Frost all into one, and I love it because of that. So, starting off with 3 Narpoon, I love Narpoon, I really do. It's a great card. I always feel like sometimes, like, why do I want to, like, use my normal cast for Narpoon? Especially when it's ironic, like, they always are like, oh, you're using your normal cast to search out a searcher. But honestly, in this type of deck, where you almost have to, because of the fact that it's like this deck is such a toolboxy deck, you have a good amount of one-ofs as well, like, sometimes it's just necessary to say that this card, I completely feel like is a necessity. I did really feel like this card was needed more times than not, and I did overlook it when building a lot of my decks. Next up, 3 Moralith Champ of Kione. Moralith Champ is an amazing card. For anyone who does not know what Moralith Champ of Kione does, it says that you can normal cast it out for 2 Frost. If so that means no Ascension, no Tribute. If you already have Kione out, and then when you activate Kione's effect, this is where everyone always gets confused. When you activate Kione's effect, before you resolve that effect, you are able to search your deck and send a 1 Spirit Frost Elestral to the Underworld. Meaning, you activate Kione's effect. You don't need anything in the Underworld. You are able to bring a 1 Spirit Frost to the Underworld for Kione to grab. Literally, with Moralith, you are able to actually create something for Kione to grab. And it is wonderful because you just create the things that you need for her. It is wonderful synergy for Kione. You are able to grab all of the one-ofs, all of the pieces that you need, and this synergy is just beautiful. Now, in this deck, you do have a couple 2-ofs as well. Like, these are all of the 3-ofs in your deck. It is hilarious. Like, these are your 2 3-ofs. It is hilarious. Now, your 2-ofs, you have 3 very important 2-ofs. 2 of which right now, 1 will make Moralith go online. 2 Ursical Champ. Part of me kind of would want to put it to 3, but honestly, it's a 50-50. So Ursical Champ of Kione says, when you cast Ursical, this Ursical, you can search your deck for either a Kione or Kione's Frostbite and add it to hand. You do run both in this deck, so honestly, that search is never dead. Kione is the Divine, I'll read her effect later, and the Frostbite is a rune, is a counter rune. So both of them are not dead. I will go over both of them later, but honestly, like, having this as a both search target and a 2-of to be able to just say, you can cast this out, search out your Kione to then be able to put Moralith live later if you have it, is just really good. Next up, you also run 2 Brumelink's Champ. Brumelink's Champ is just a generically good card. Honestly, though, because the only search target in this deck right now is just the Mountains of Boreas, I would say it wasn't terrible. However, the reason you do run it at 2 is because you do want to see the Mountains of Boreas. However, I'm a 50-50 on either cutting it to 1 and upping the number of something else, but at the same time, because it is like a good card, once you do add like a sideboard, you could put in like your Blizzard whiteouts. So having it at 2 to give you more synergy with like other useful like runes for those situations, I'm not opposed to. I just felt like having it at 2 for just one rune that, you know, it did come up like once, but, you know, in 4 games or like 4 rounds, you know, you're not going to see like the most use cases for it. But it is just like the only card that in this deck that is searchable off of Broomalinx as of right now is the Mountains of Boreas. Now, for the next like part of this deck is the Moralith, the Morphrost package. So you do run the 1 Morphrost Lycan, and then from there you are running 2 Morphrost Chimera, 2 Bat, a Scorpio, and a Terraform. So Morphrost Lycan is your whole engine for the Morphrost package. Discard Lycan, search your deck for 2 more that are not Lycan form. Really, really good card. Honestly, just being able to just say, alright, you either have Narpoon to search it or Moralith to search it is just beautiful. Scorpio is able to just searchable pop. Terror, searchable to be able to just say, no, I'm going to reduce everyone's stats. Bat, when it's discarded, you're able to special cast out any Morphrost from Underworld that's not Bat form. And then Chimera, brand new Morphrost to the lineup in Livestream, just says, when once per turn, discard a Morphrost in order to draw a card. Super, super good. And because it's a 1 cost 5 attack stat, it's just beautiful synergy. Now we get to the best parts, because it's the 1-ofs. It's a toolbox deck. We need more toolbox cards. So, the best part of a toolbox is to make the toolbox go. So, Frostrix Champ. I did talk about this a little bit in the intro. So, Frostrix Champ says when you add an Elestral to your hand with Kione's effect, you can special cast it out. Essentially saying it so that if you have Moralith and Frostrix out on your board at the same time, Kione's effect essentially reads special cast an Elestral from deck. It is very broken. What makes it even funnier is if you have Moralith and Frostrix, you go Kione's effect, search out Ursicle Champ, Ursicle Champ's effect, search out Kione, play Kione, do it again, special cast out another dude. That's hilarious. Like, you can just go very wide, very fast. It is very expensive, and you go very low on spirits very quickly. But it's just like, you can get a lot of pressure very quickly, and just being able to do that is super, super fun. Next up, this was my tech card. The original list that he sent did actually have a Chillalotl, and kind of did goof that Chillalotl is a Sunstrike card. So it was like, oh, you know, it could just be any card that you want. I wanted it to be Frostrix OG. I had the Stellar for it, and because I wanted the pair of 33 and 33, I wanted my 33s together. Frostrix OG says you can expend 2 Frost and discard the Frostrix in order to special cast out any 1-cost Frost Spirit, any 1-cost Frost Elestral from your Underworld to your board. Essentially, just more going wide. If you don't have a way to cast out something, or you have something in your Underworld that you want to just extend with, Frostrix. I've actually used it a good couple times during that event yesterday, and it actually was the reason that helped me push out games and allow me to take wins. Because if I didn't use the Frostrix effect, yes, I did go a little bit lower than I would have liked, but by going a little bit lower than I would have liked, I actually cleared their board or put a little bit too much pressure on my opponent that they didn't like. And that actually cleared the way for me to be able to, you know, win a little bit easier or make it a little bit harder for them to take the game. And because I'm able to recur from the underworld, which is the grave, for anyone who's watching that's not understanding from Elestrals, or, you know, drop zone, discard, whatever, I essentially am able to just recur anything that I've lost. Next up, Catarant. When it receives 1 Frost Spirit, I get to heal 2 Frost Spirits. It's just a healer. So even if I special cast it out, I special cast it, heal 2. This was actually really good because my opponent one game just didn't stop me from being able to loop this guy out. And I was able to win and heal back enough spirits to where it didn't matter if they stopped me. I just was able to get enough spirits to not lose. And for my tech, well, not really my tech, but the reason that we built this deck in the first place. 1 Abominursa champ. So yes, we built this deck, well, he helped by building this core, essentially for Abominursa, because of the fact that I wanted to build Glaciursa. So Abominursa says that when it destroys an Elestral in battle, I Nexus a spirit from Kione to him in order to special ascend into the dangerous Papa Bear. Yes, I am using my X of 25 Papa Bear for good use. So, Papa Bear says, when it destroys an Elestral in battle, I get to burn the opponent equal to the amount of spirits enchanting all Kiones I control. Yeah, this is a very deadly card. And essentially just being able to have access at all times to a 1-of copy of Abominursa whenever I need it, not just hard drawing into multiple and feeling very, you know, clumped by it. You know, yes, having the pressure at any given moment because, oh, I'm going to slap down multiple like I used to, felt very nice, but this, honestly, this list felt very controlled. And I did really like how this list felt. So, and the funny thing is, I almost never went into Glaciursa because of the fact that I almost won most times over not by everyone else. If Glaciursa actually stuck the board, it was because of the fact that, you know, I had a wide enough board and I never used Abominursa. Or I had threatened with an Abominursa and they dealt with the Abominursa, said, no, I don't want that Glaciursa hitting. Like, I don't want that thing to hit. So they dealt with the Abominursa, but then didn't have enough spirits to worry about the rest of the wide board. So I then was in the clear to just win off of the threat that this thing was coming out, that it never actually hit the board. So, like, the one time I did hit, like, let it hit the board, it was like, it's just gonna hit the board because, you know, aesthetics. Going into the runes, though, this is the important part. 3 Kione. 3 Kione. This is necessary. You need 3. And 2 Kione's Frostbite. So, Kione, as I said, you disenchant, like, this is your whole, like, part of the deck. So, with Kione, you disenchant 1 off of her to then add a 1 spirit Elestral from your underworld and add it back to your hand. So, a 1 cost Frost from the underworld, add it back to your hand. And then Kione's Frostbite is a counter rune. Can only be activated if either Kione is enchanted on your board, or is in the underworld, which is really good. And it says it can target a Frost Elestral until the end of the turn, which is wonderful. Which means you're not just locked to the battle phase like other power increasing battle tricks. It gives that Elestral +2 power, and then an extra incremental power boost. So +1 power for every other Frost rune in your underworld. Meaning, let's say you have Kione in the underworld. You activate Kione's Frostbite, it gives it +3. Really, really good. And then last up for the searchable runes is Mountains of Boreas. 2 Mountains of Boreas. Really, really good. Again, it's the only thing searchable off of the Brumelink's champ, but it just helps make everything stronger, make everything live more. It's just another Nexus bank for other cards, which you'll see. For the counter rune slot, you have 3 Gorgons, 2 Shield, my personal choice, 2 P-Box. Originally this was PTA, or Poison Tipped Arrow. Honestly, I feel like I like Pandora's Box a little bit more. So PTA is a reduced 2 attack by 2 stats, and then at the end of the turn, then you can pay extra to destroy. Pandora's Box is pay 2 just to stop your opponent from searching your deck, their deck, and then make them mill 2. Doesn't remove the Elestral or whatever it is that they're searching, but I just feel like in this time there's a lot of searching effects, and I'm okay with them keeping whatever bodies on the board. Usually it is what it is. If there's something that's getting slapped onto the board, I should be able to deal with it. Versus, like, I'd rather stop them from searching. You know, searching I feel like is a lot stronger to deal with. 2 Ambrosia, and then 2 Altar of Stars. In my opinion, and kind of how we both felt in the moment, Altar of Stars, I just feel like is better than a card like Tsunami. It's a 50-50, honestly. I feel like you can argue either way. Like, Tsunami doesn't do that much if you're expecting a lot of fish, but, you know, now that we're seeing, like, the meta is kind of settling down, and we know, like, Dio is going to definitely be something to expect going into the meta a little bit more. You can argue, oh, you know, Dio is going to be a lot more prevalent. You know, definitely say, you know, go Dio and go Tsunami main deck, Alter side deck. Personally, I don't really care. I would prefer actually Alter main deck, Tsunami side deck. Only because I would prefer to not have that dead card in my main deck. Even though this relies on having a Nexus bank, I actually have Nexus banks, and I rely on having Nexus banks for a lot of my stuff. And truth be told, you know, this altar could be a lot of different things if you feel like it could be a lot of different things. But I think this being an altar didn't really hurt. It actually helped in a lot of different circumstances. But this is the list. Going into the Spirit deck, the Spirit deck was honestly pretty self-explanatory. It was 2 water for the 3 Narpoon, 1 fire to stop any, like, eruption. Even though there's only 1 eruption. I still mentally always, like, if I'm going up against anything and I have, like, a majority frost, I always overextend. So I just mentally make a note, you know, put in a fire. Also, because it is good, theoretically, you can side deck in a Cryo Scorch. So you know, in like a best 2 of 3, this could be a fire for a Cryo Scorch. But I always have a fire for the Eruption, because I'm always going to go low, and this can help with that matchup. And then the rest, Frost. It's just as super self-explanatory. You could argue that this doesn't need to be here, and it could just be 18 Frost. I'm going to tell you that that's cool. You could argue that it could be 2 fire, and then you could have 2 chains in the sideboard. And then I'm going to tell you, that's cool. That sounds logical. Because again, like, you have so much Frost that it doesn't matter. It actually does not matter. Like, I don't think I was at a point where I was actively, like, scared and, like, in need of, like, going to lose because I was at 0 spirits. I think there was one game, and it was not against a fire deck. And if that was the case, all I do was just retroactively say, when I play a Gorgons or something, I just make one of those spirits a fire spirit. Like, I did not at any point in time feel like I lost any momentum if I had 2 fire spirits instead of 1 fire spirit that entire game. But that's the list. Legitimately speaking, I feel like this list was super fun. I love this list with a burning passion. And I feel like going into the next week, leading up to this next premiere, I had a couple ideas for what I was going to play, and a couple lists that I was going to try and build and make videos on, and I definitely have a contender for what I might bring, so beware. You know, there might be a fleshed out side deck for this, and there might be a smoke screen. Just kidding, no, I won't do that. But legitimately, like, with the toolbox, like, I could have, like, one-ofs in the side deck. Like, you could take this list and just, like, swap out a couple pieces. Like, the, you know, like the Abominursa, and, something, and, like, one other card, and put in, like, 2 one-ofs, and that are searchable. Because, again, all 1-drops are searchable. And just say, boom, there you go. You know, there's your different deck because it's searchable. If you want it to be Cryoling, go one Cryoling, done. You don't need 3 Cryoling. You know? Literally 1 Cryoling, 1 Cryovern, 1 Cryoscorch, boom, done. There's your sideboard. There's a sideboard smokescreen for the 1 fire that I have in there. Like, it really is, like, this deck with this list is so versatile that it gives you such a great, like, ability to just swap out a couple parts. Essentially just swap out the Abominursa, swap out the Glaciursa, and swap out, like, possibly 1 card somewhere, and you have yourself the best toolbox deck in Frost to just say, bing, bom, boop, yeah, there you go. New deck. New deck, new archetype, done. And I love it. I really love this deck. Like, your sideboard, if you don't care about parts of your sideboard, if you have free space in your sideboard, go right ahead, because you can do whatever you want. You want Chivroar, not searchable, but guess what? Who cares? You know, put in some Chivies, put in some Frigicubs. Done. You want the Cryoling, Cryover, and Cryoscorch? Done. You want, like, go ahead. You want to throw in the other Glacie? Done. You want Imperawatt? Done. Whatever it is you want in the side deck. You know? Don't throw it all in the side deck. You still need usable cards in the side deck. But you can take this list, take out a couple parts, keep the majority of the deck, like, and it's a brand new deck. And that's what I love about it. So again, I really want to say thank you so much, Perky, for, you know, helping with this deck. This, in my opinion, is probably one of my most favorite decks that I've ever got to play. It got to meld my original deck that I started Elestrals with, which was Morphrost. It then got to give me the ability to mix it with my favorite type of playstyle, which is Toolbox, and get to showcase off the Elestral that got me any form of placement in any premiere possible, which is Glaciursa. So you got to allow me the ability, you got to give me the ability to, you know, just show off every part of my, you know, part of Elestrals. Like, everything that I got to do in Elestrals in the past, like, year and a half or 2 years that I've been playing, like, however long Elestrals have been, you know, around, I've been playing it, and, like, whatever I've done in Elestrals is essentially in this deck, thanks to you, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. I do appreciate it. And if you guys have anything in the comments that you want to say about this deck, you know, or have any suggestions or, you know, whatever, do leave them in the comments. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more deck lists coming up in the future, or want to see any other type of videos that are about Elestrals, please don't, I forgot what I was about to say. Yay. But yeah, just don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And, you know, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.